Today I wanted to record something on the topic of mind-body healing and to really drive home the belief in yourself that healing is possible. This is such a foundation for any sort of healing, right? So it doesn't matter how long you've been sick for, it doesn't matter how severe your illness has been, it doesn't matter how stuck you feel currently. I want to make this video so that you know that you can heal. You can. It's truly possible. And the thing that's going to stop you from believing that is doubt, right? And then when doubt arises, you either get completely entangled and identified with the doubt and you fuel the doubt, or you can see that that is doubt, and then you have a choice of, if I believe this doubt, I'm really stopping my ability to recover, basically, right? If you read, like, okay, so here's a good example. I've been recently reading Joe Dispenza's work and I've been really enjoying it. If you don't know Joe Dispenza, his story is quite incredible. He fractured his spine, like multiple vertebrae in his spine after being hit by a truck while cycling, and he was told he was never going to walk again. And he wouldn't accept that, and he spent like 12 weeks lying, I think it was in bed, using his mind to heal his body, and it worked, right? He got up and he was fully functional again after truly healing with his mind. Now, here's the thing, right? You can hear that story and you can immediately start being skeptical, right? But it's true. He did fucking get hit by a truck and he can walk again now, right? So what is the cost of, so the reason I'm using this as an example is because I was researching more into Joe Dispenza recently, and then I came across some articles on the internet trying to prove that he's spreading pseudoscience and trying to find reasons why, like, ruin his story or discredit him. And this is very common, right? I see it in people in the forums on like chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, any illness that you feel like you're stuck with, right? But I've read enough about mind-body healing for myself, and I've been in that phase of skepticism myself, like years ago when I was very sick and debilitated and thought I would never recover and never exercise again and never get out in day-to-day life again. And then I started reading books about mind-body healing, and I was skeptical at first, and then you really start to look at how you're creating your own reality with your beliefs. Like, if you truly believe that you cannot recover, how the fuck are you going to recover? Every recovery story that I've listened to and person that's made miraculous healing, they didn't say that they sat there in bed every single day believing that they were a victim of life and that they were never going to recover, and then one day they got up and they were recovered. If that is that is your core belief that you're hanging on to, that I cannot recover, I don't know people that recover that hold on to that belief. So this is where you have to start, right? You have to see how you're keeping yourself stuck. And it's understandable, right? Skepticism is understandable, but the whole point of, okay, this might sound weird, but it's very clear to me now from this perspective that the whole point of these kind of things happening to you, these tragedies, these illnesses, these whatever it is, like if you're in a horrible accident, or if you end up with some mysterious illness like long COVID or chronic fatigue syndrome, the whole point is it's a transformation journey that you want to get from A to B. You don't get there by staying the person that you are with the beliefs that you have at A. The whole point is for you to learn something about the healing process, right? You're going to come out of this knowing a lot about healing, about, who knows how it goes, about emotions, about suffering, right? About how to build resilience, about how to overcome your own personal suffering, and you can become an inspiration for other people. So if where you're at currently, you're not healing, then can you ask yourself, well, what are the beliefs that I'm currently holding on to that might be stopping me from healing? And the problem is, when you're so identified with your beliefs, you don't see it as a belief. You see it as you, right? So when you're reading a story and immediately your mind starts to go into skepticism and kind of wanting to discredit the story, it doesn't feel like you're trying to discredit the story. It feels justified, right? I remember how I used to be with this kind of stuff when I was reading about other mind-body healing courses and brain retraining. I was like, I don't want to have hope on something that's not got solid, tangible, doubtless evidence. That's what the mind wants. It wants zero doubt. But that's not the point of this, right? The point is for you to dive into the unknown and to trust something beyond yourself. Trust an intelligence beyond the little one in your head, the ego, the mind, that feels like it needs to know and understand everything. You have to go into the unknown with healing, right? So a key part of this can be, like a foundation for me, was eventually realizing that I'm not in control of everything that's happening in my body. I'm not the one that's making the blood flow in my body. Like, my little conscious self is not the one that when I get a cut, I'm not the one that is repairing all those cells, right? Healing happens. Like, you can break a bone in your body and it can heal again, right? So you can be incredibly sick and you can heal again. But we've set limits on what kind of healing is possible. And then as soon as we see a story that is outside of these limits, we have to find reasons that it needs to stay outside of these limits. Can you see how that belief is the problem? When you shift the belief, and this was one of the things that I had to do in my healing journey, to how can I use every single piece of information I find to support my healing as opposed to support my sickness? That's what your mind is doing. It's trying to keep you sick, right? And it's an addiction. It's like neural pathways that we've become trapped in. It's a stress response that's become overloaded. You're stuck in this chronic stress state, and your mind wants to stay in that state. It's gotten used to seeing the world in a certain way, of perceiving through negativity. So if you see something that challenges that, can you see, how can I use this to my advantage? This is what I started doing, and it was a massive shift from when I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker and more despondent and believing that I was, going to be stuck forever, as opposed to when I started to make everything work for me in my healing, right? So I would read a book and I would see how things were challenging my perspective on reality, right? I would read something and it would say, like, this person healed from cancer through doing visualization things. And I read that countless times. And at first I was like, I don't know, that doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, is that going to support my healing, right? To believe that is not possible? Or is believing that is possible, whether I know it to be true or not, is that going to support my healing? And I started to do that with everything, where I was like, I don't care how true or not it is. And this is the grit, the resilience that I see in the people that have healed. It's this unwavering determination, and it comes from rock bottom, right? So it's not like these people are like that all the way through. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I did have phases of hopelessness. I did have phases of depression. I did have phases of suicidal thoughts where I was like, fuck this. I don't want to live the rest of my life like that. And that's where the determination comes from. That rock bottom place where you're left basically with two choices, where you're like, I can't make it, I'm going to give up. Or you're like, that's the only other choice and that can't be a choice. So I'll accept anything now. And that's the key, right? Because before that, you're trying to negotiate. You're trying to I still want to hold on to some sort of ego of, I know what's possible and what's not possible. But the place you come to where you're like, I will have this unwavering determination to heal. For me, that came from the pits of hell. And the beautiful reminder is you can return there. Okay, that's not the beautiful reminder, but you can return there and things can feel very hopeless again. And then you come to the same decision, right? That's kind of what happened for me. Is I got sick, I recovered, I did whatever I wanted, and then I got sucked into living in stress again, and it got like more and more stuck again, and then it was like really going into pretty hellish darkness again, and then from there, it was a reminder of, okay, what's the problem here? And then coming back into this, and then seeing the doubts coming in again. It's like, wow, now I'm sick again, and like, what now? But the key for me is kind of what I was saying earlier, is the whole point of this journey, in a sense, is for you to learn something from it. And for me, it's like it's like second year university in healing school, or like doing a master's degree now in healing, in mind body healing school, whereas the kind of initial undergraduate degree was my first healing journey. And then it was like, cool, you get a break, go explore, live life again. And that was like important integration, was to expose myself to the world again, to see what traps could I fall into. And now you basically level up. So like you're in a similar space, but you're in a completely different space at the same time, because now I've had that whole journey play out. Whereas the first time it was like I was completely new to the whole illness healing space. So this is like the master's degree, and the point is, it's like to deepen my understanding of this process, and to deepen my understanding of healing, and to draw me back into the healing world in a way, if that makes sense. Again, for me, it's about looking at the problem or the opportunity. The problem is I can't do all the things that I thought I was going to be doing with my time, and it was the same the first time I got sick. And the solution and the opportunity is I'm forced to learn more about healing. I'm forced to put a microscope on myself and see where am I becoming my own prison warden, because that's essentially what it is. And it's not the same as the first time. You're not going to learn the same things, right? For me, it's more complex this time, because it's about like, I was in a different space the first time I got sick, where I was kind of supported with financially. I didn't have to worry about trying to make money at the same time. Whereas now this has been the stressor that kind of got me back in this place. So anyways, that's not the point of this video. But the point of this video was that you can heal, right? And it's just, are you going to feel the doubts? That's the key, right? And this is why a level of awareness is such a key part of the healing journey, is you need to, and this is why I am a huge advocate for meditation for myself. Like, whenever things get difficult again, I just need to meditate more. And it's a pillar of healing for me. And I recommend it for everyone, because you need that awareness of when you're getting caught up in your mind. You need to be able to see that. When the doubts are coming, you cannot be identified with the doubts. You will be identified with the doubts, but do you realize it? As you get some hope, then it's almost like the universe is going to throw in some doubt to test you. And that changes over time. So like a great example was, as I was reading the stuff about Joe Dispenza, I remember the first time I came across mind-body healing, I immediately got incredible amounts of hope when I worked with a physiotherapist I've interviewed on my channel. Her name was Tracy Prowse, and she was talking to me about mind-body healing as like a health coach, basically. And I got so excited at the prospect that I could heal, that I wasn't fucked. And then like later that day, I did more research into what she was talking about, and you will find like articles completely trashing the ability to heal from chronic fatigue syndrome, right? There's so much fucking negativity out there. Like I was saying, the articles about Joe Dispenza, it was something like why he's feeding the world pseudoscience. And it's like, do you know how many people's lives he's changed? Like how many people have healed from horrific states because of that, and now you're trying to discredit him because of pseudoscience. So I'm going on a tangent, but basically what happened to me the first time is I got sucked into all of that negativity immediately after the hope that was inspired by reading or learning about the possibility of healing. And like that was an evolution in itself, whereas now I could see like how that will always arise, but it just becomes so much more flimsy. And so when this article came up about Joe Dispenza now, the contrast is like how I would have read that and then started doubting all of that like years ago, the first time I was healing. I would have been like, oh shit, so Joe Dispenza is maybe full of shit and blah, 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 blah. And then I would have tangled myself up in this battle of, is it true? Is it pseudoscience? Can I believe it? Whereas now it's like, you just see it and you're just like, okay, that's a decision to go down that pathway. Like that is a decision. So if you see something inspirational, to just focus on the possibility of healing from chronic fatigue syndrome or chronic pain or whatever it is, fuel your mind with all of the recovery information, all of the inspiration out there, and make it your priority. And take responsibility. See that you're the only one that can heal yourself. This is what we don't want to do, right? We want to avoid the pain of transformation. And to do that, you have to discredit the possibility that healing is even possible. And you don't realize you're doing this, right? If I went onto the chronic fatigue syndrome forums and I spoke to the people there that have been sick for years and years and years, and they're very hopeless. And I've done this. I've gone and shared recovery stories on there. And I told them that I might get some backlash on this YouTube video. Who knows? It's weird. Sometimes the algorithm pumps it to the toxic crowds, and sometimes it pumps it to the beautifully loving people who leave such beautiful comments that warm my heart. So who knows? Maybe the specific people I'm talking about will see this. But if I was to say to one of those people that you are actively trying to prove that recovery is not possible so that you don't have to face the fact that you are responsible for your own healing, they wouldn't see that that is true, right? And it's understandable. Like, I was in that space myself, and I would have told somebody to fuck off if they told me that, right? So that's why I wouldn't say that to somebody. Maybe it's what somebody needs to hear. Sometimes you do, because everybody's just saying, yeah, look, I am so sorry that you've got this thing that you will never recover from. You're not helping the person. But I totally understand that. I mean, I've lived this myself, and it's a very intense thing to go through, but you truly are responsible for your own healing, and you have to go through your own process, really. There's support. Support is important. Resources are important, but you're the one in the end who receives information and decides, this is something I'm going to try and discredit, or this is something I'm going to try and use to heal. So I think that's enough for today. I want you to heal. I want you to know that healing is possible. I want you to know that I have healed. I've gotten sick again, then I've healed again, busy healing again. Or just like, it's not even so black and white. It's just like, working through whatever's coming up. But that was one of the things that people used to use against me to try and discredit my healing story, was that, it's a spontaneous recovery and you're going to get sick again, and then you'll see that you're stuck with CFS. And, fair enough. They were right to an extent that just recovering and then going back to living completely without any care for my nervous system was a path that was going to lead me back to similar symptoms. But it brought me back into a place where I had to face some real dark demons. And then it was like, are you going to accept now that you're stuck? Or are you going to find that part of you that knows that healing is possible and make that your priority again? On a harder level now, because I've got more responsibilities to deal with. And it's good because I'm learning more. I've coached people before that were in different like life circumstances than me, and I could still help them, but now I can live it more. I can be like, oh yeah, this is the kind of more complexity of healing, is like when you have more responsibilities. I don't know. So anyways, that's the gist of it. You can heal, and yeah, good luck.